Stretching endlessly under the harsh sun of Balochistan lies a secret buried in plain sight, a towering rock formation so uncanny, so eerily familiar, it stops explorers in their tracks. From above, the contours of a massive, weathered face stare back at the sky, flanked by what looks like a crouching lion's body. This is no ordinary mountain. Could this be the world's oldest sphinx, hidden for centuries in Pakistan's rugged desert? The resemblance to Egypt's Great Sphinx is chilling, but here's the twist. This mysterious monument might predate its famous counterpart by thousands of years. And if that's true, everything we thought we knew about ancient civilizations could be rewritten. Picture this, a forgotten relic carved not by the hands of pharaohs but by a culture lost to time. Local legends whisper of gods and giants shaping the land, while geologists debate whether nature alone could sculpt something so precise. The controversy is explosive. Some call it a miraculous archaeological find, others dismiss it as a trick of erosion. But one thing's certain: the Sphinx of Balochistan refuses to be ignored. Its very existence challenges history books, daring us to question who really walked these sands before recorded time. This is more than just a rock. It's a riddle wrapped in stone, a puzzle that defies easy answers. What if this ancient sentinel holds clues to a civilization advanced enough to shape monuments, yet vanished without a trace? Join me as we venture into the heart of this mystery, where every clue leads to deeper questions. We'll examine the evidence, hear from experts, and explore the theories from the plausible to the mind-bending. By the end, you won't just see a mountain, you'll see a story waiting to be uncovered, one that could change how we understand our past. The desert guards its secrets well, but today we start digging. The story of the Sphinx of Balochistan begins not with a grand archaeological expedition, but with the quiet observations of locals who had known of this enigmatic formation for generations. Passed down through stories and folklore, the mountain was often spoken of as a sacred or cursed place. Some claimed it was the work of ancient gods, others whispered of giants who once roamed the land. But it wasn't until modern technology turned its eye to this remote corner of Pakistan that the world took notice. Satellite imagery revealed the staggering resemblance. First, the unmistakable outline of a human face, weathered but undeniable, resting atop the body of what could only be described as a lion. When images circulated among researchers, the reactions ranged from astonishment to outright skepticism. One geologist, upon seeing the photos, noted that while erosion can create striking formations, the symmetry here was uncanny, almost deliberate. Early explorers who visited the site described an eerie presence, as if the structure itself was watching them. One account from a survey team in the 1990s reads, "It's not just the shape, it's the scale. Standing at its base, you feel small, insignificant, as if you've stumbled onto something meant to be forgotten." But what truly set the debate ablaze was its similarity to Egypt's Great Sphinx, yet with one glaring difference. While the Egyptian monument sits in a valley, surrounded by the remnants of an advanced civilization, Balochistan's Sphinx stands alone, carved into a mountainside with no obvious signs of settlement nearby. This isolation only deepened the mystery. Archaeologists clashed: was this a deliberate creation, or simply a natural marvel playing tricks on the human eye? Some pointed to the precision of certain features, like the apparent headdress and facial proportions, arguing that nature rarely produces such symmetry. Others countered that wind and rain, given enough millennia, can mimic even the most intricate designs. The controversy only grew when researchers uncovered local legends that spoke of a time before memory, when beings of immense power shaped the land. One tale describes a colossal guardian, left to watch over a lost kingdom, a description uncomfortably close to what now stares silently from Balochistan's cliffs. Whether myth or memory, these stories add another layer to the puzzle. As the debate rages on, one thing becomes clear: the Sphinx of Balochistan refuses to fit neatly into any known history. Its discovery forces us to ask uncomfortable questions. Who could have carved this? Why here in this desolate landscape? And if it is man-made, what does that mean for our understanding of the ancient world? Every answer only leads to more questions, deepening the shadows around this silent sentinel of stone. Nestled in the rugged expanse of western Pakistan, the Sphinx of Balochistan emerges from one of the most inhospitable landscapes on Earth, the Makran Desert. This vast, arid region stretches along the border with Iran, a place where temperatures soar above 120 degrees Fahrenheit in summer, and blistering winds carve the rock into surreal shapes. The Sphinx itself rests near the Hingol National Park, an area more known for its wild, untamed beauty than any archaeological wonder. Yet here, hidden in plain sight, this enigmatic formation rises nearly 300 feet from the desert floor, as if the land itself conspired to keep it secret. What makes this location so intriguing isn't just its isolation, it's the echoes of ancient history that surround it. Just 200 miles to the east lies Mohenjo-Daro, one of the great cities of the Indus Valley civilization, which thrived over 4,000 years ago. To the west, the ruins of Persia's lost empires whisper of forgotten connections. This region has long been a crossroads of cultures, a place where traders, conquerors, and nomads left traces of their passing. Yet the Sphinx stands apart, unclaimed by any known civilization, its origins shrouded in the same dust that blankets the desert. The terrain itself may hold the key to its preservation. Unlike Egypt's Sphinx, which sits exposed in the Nile Valley, subject to centuries of wind, sand, and human interference, Balochistan's version is carved into a mountainside. The steep cliffs act as a natural shield, deflecting the worst of the erosive forces that might have worn it away. Some researchers speculate that the very harshness of the environment kept explorers and settlers at bay, leaving the structure untouched for millennia. Others suggest something more deliberate, that whoever created this monument chose this location precisely because of its remoteness, as if hiding their work from future eyes. Then there's the geology. The mountain is composed of sedimentary rock, layers of ancient seabed compressed over eons. This type of stone is softer, more easily shaped by both natural forces and human hands. Wind and rain have sculpted bizarre formations across the Makran entire valleys of twisted pinnacles and mushroom-shaped rocks that look like they belong on another planet. But the Sphinx's placement and symmetry defy simple explanation. Its face aligns almost perfectly with the sunrise during certain seasons, a detail that feels too intentional to dismiss as coincidence. Local tribes have their own explanations. Some speak of a time when the desert was green, a land of rivers and forests where great builders walked. Others warn of curses, saying the mountain guards something best left undisturbed. These stories, passed down through generations, hint at a truth buried deeper than the sands, a memory of something extraordinary, now faded into myth. If the Sphinx of Balochistan is indeed man-made, its survival in this brutal landscape is a testament to the skill, or the mystery of its creators. The desert, relentless and unforgiving, may have been the very thing that preserved it, hiding its secrets in plain sight until the modern world finally took notice. And that raises the most tantalizing question of all. What else lies buried beneath these sands, waiting to rewrite history? Standing nearly 300 feet tall, the Sphinx of Balochistan dwarfs even Egypt's iconic monument, stretching longer than a football field from its weathered head to the tip of its massive, lion-like hindquarters. From a distance, the formation appears as a single, seamless carving, a human face gazing solemnly across the desert, its features worn but unmistakable. The nose, though eroded, hints at a once sharp profile, while deep-set eyes stare blankly beneath what resembles a traditional headdress, eerily similar to the nemes worn by pharaohs. But unlike its Egyptian cousin, which sits as a freestanding statue, This sphinx is part of the mountain itself, as if the earth had birthed it. Side by side, the differences become even more striking. Egypt's Great Sphinx, at 66 feet tall, is a masterpiece of precision. Its smooth, geometric lines and regal bearing reflect the artistry of a civilization at its peak. Balochistan's version, while colossal, feels more primal. Its surface is jagged, pockmarked by millennia of wind and rain, giving it a raw, almost unfinished quality. Yet certain features defy natural explanation. The headdress displays horizontal striations even to be random erosion, and the jawline aligns with near-perfect symmetry details that gnaw at the boundary between chance and craftsmanship. Then there's the posture. The Egyptian Sphinx sits upright, paws extended, exuding control. Its Balochistan counterpart seems to crouch as if mid-movement, with a sloping back that merges into the cliffside. Some researchers argue this could suggest an even older artistic tradition, one that depicted motion rather than stillness. Others counter that the shape is purely geological, a quirk of rock strata. But one anomaly stands out. The Balochistan formation lacks the traditional sphinx's beard, a symbol of divinity in Egyptian art. Instead, its chin is clean, almost modern, sparking debates about whether its creators, if they existed, followed a different symbolic language altogether. The texture tells another story. Egypt's limestone monument has been meticulously restored over centuries, its surfaces smoothed by human hands. Balochistan's rugged facade shows no signs of tools, yet the way light hits certain angles creates uncanny shadows, deepening the illusion of deliberate carving. At sunrise, when the desert glow bathes the formation, the face appears to shift expression. Some claim it even smiles. Whether shaped by nature or ancients, the sheer scale of this structure forces a humbling question. If it is artificial, what tools could have tamed such a mountainside? The Egyptian Sphinx was built with copper chisels and sweat, but Balochistan's version would have required something far grander, or a timeline we've yet to imagine. Every groove, every weathered curve holds a silent challenge. Look closer, decide for yourself. Among the nomadic tribes of Balochistan, stories of the Great Stone Sentinel have been whispered around campfires for centuries, not as mere legend but as living memory. The Makran Desert's inhabitants call it by many names. Some know it as Daria Khan, the sleeping giant who guards hidden rivers beneath the sand. Others refer to it as Chicago, the cursed hunting ground where spirits lure travelers astray. An elder from the nearby Zikri community once described it to researchers as not a mountain but a watcher, insisting his ancestors believed it blinked during eclipses. These oral traditions, passed down through generations without written record, paint a picture far more vivid than simple geology. One particularly haunting tale speaks of a kingdom that once thrived in the desert's heart, where rulers commanded magic to shape the very earth. When greed corrupted them, the story goes, the gods petrified their greatest sculptor mid-creation, leaving his half-formed masterpiece to stand as both monument and warning. Another version, collected by British ethnographers in the 1800s, tells of a star that fell from the sky, taking the form of a lion-headed guardian to protect a celestial secret buried in the cliffs. What's striking is how these disparate stories converge. The Sphinx is never just rock. It's a boundary between worlds, a silent participant in the landscape's hidden drama. Historical archives reveal even darker threads. Colonial-era logs from the 1920s mention Balochi guides refusing to camp near the formation, claiming it whispered to those who slept beneath its shadow. A faded diary entry from a surveyor named Colonel Reginald Shaw describes his team's local porter suddenly abandoning their expedition, muttering about the hunger in the stone. Whether superstition or something deeper, these accounts suggest an instinctive wariness that transcends cultural boundaries, yet not all traditions treat it with fear. The nearby Hinglaj Mata Temple, a pilgrimage site for Hindu devotees, considers the Sphinx part of a sacred geography, Some priests even identify it as the petrified remains of a demon slain by the goddess Durga. Pilgrims have left offerings at its base for generations, small clay lamps and red thread tied around rocks, as if honoring something ancient beyond memory. The most compelling evidence of human interaction comes from the nomadic Baloch themselves. Certain clans still follow seasonal routes that deliberately curve around the formation, not out of avoidance but respect. They point to faint, weather-worn symbols carved into nearby boulders, spirals, and sunbursts, echoing designs found at Neolithic sites across the region, as proof their ancestors recognized this place as special long before satellites revealed its famous shape. What emerges from these fragments is a paradox, a monument simultaneously feared and revered, ignored and worshipped. The tribes may not have known they lived in the shadow of a sphinx, but they understood this was no ordinary mountain. Their stories, like the wind-scoured lines of the formation itself, hint at a truth half eroded by time, one that archaeology is only beginning to decipher. Despite its jaw-dropping presence, the Sphinx of Balochistan has rarely seen the kind of rigorous archaeological scrutiny reserved for Egypt's monuments. The site's remote location, political instability in the region, and the sheer scale of the formation have made systematic study a challenge. But in recent years, a handful of surveys have peeled back layers of the mystery, each revealing more questions than answers. In 2019, a team from Pakistan's Quaid-i-Azam University employed ground-penetrating radar to scan the base of the structure, searching for signs of human alteration beneath the surface. Their findings were tantalizing anomalies in the rock density that didn't match typical erosion patterns, particularly around the face, and what appears to be a raised platform at the formation's base. One researcher described it as like finding seams in stone where there shouldn't be any. Further analysis came from an unlikely source, space. Satellite-mounted LiDAR technology, which uses laser pulses to map terrain in meticulous detail, revealed subtle geometric patterns in the surrounding plateau. Some archaeologists argue these alignments, straight edges intersecting at precise angles, resemble the foundations of a vast, buried complex. Others dismiss it as wishful thinking, pointing out that tectonic shifts can fracture rock in unnaturally straight lines. The debate turned heated when Italian geologist Dr. Alessandro Menardi Nogara published a paper comparing the formation's weathering patterns to known artificial sphinxes. His team identified vertical striations on the neck that mirror tool marks found on ancient megaliths in Peru, suggesting someone, or something, once worked the stone with immense force. But not everyone's convinced. Dr. Emma Petri, a prominent geomorphologist from Cambridge, counters that wind erosion in desert environments can produce remarkably clean, parallel grooves, especially in soft sedimentary rock. She points to Utah's Bryce Canyon, where nature has sculpted pillars so precise they look hand-carved. The human brain is wired to see faces and patterns, she notes. We project intention onto randomness. Then there's the enigma of the platform. Local explorers and a few daring archaeologists have ventured to the site, documenting what looks like a flattened area at the Sphinx's paws, strewn with unusual stones too evenly spaced to be natural debris. In 2021, a joint Pakistani-German team collected samples from these stones, discovering traces of mineral deposits inconsistent with the surrounding bedrock. Could these be remnants of an ancient pavement or just another geological fluke? The most provocative clue came from drone footage captured in 2022, revealing a series of indentations along the formation's back, depressions that, when mapped, form a near-perfect spiral. Spiral motifs appear in ancient petroglyphs across the region, a symbol often linked to cosmic cycles. Coincidence, perhaps, but as more data emerges, the line between natural wonder and deliberate creation blurs further. Until someone uncovers irrefutable proof, a tool fragment, an inscription, or a carbon-datable artifact, the Sphinx of Balochistan will remain a riddle written in stone, daring us to keep digging. For every awe-struck explorer convinced the Sphinx of Balochistan is an ancient masterpiece, there's a geologist with a simple counter-argument: nature is the greatest sculptor of all. The Makran Desert, where the formation sits, is a gallery of surreal rock shapes, wind-carved arches that look like doorways to another world, pillars so thin they defy gravity, and cliffs pockmarked with holes that hum when the desert winds blow. In this context, the Sphinx's uncanny resemblance to a lion-headed figure might not be evidence of human hands, but a spectacular example of pareidolia, the mind's tendency to impose familiar patterns like faces onto random shapes. Dr. Lena Hoffman, a geomorphologist who studied weathering patterns in arid regions for decades, points to formations like Utah's Fantasy Canyon or Algeria's Tassili Ennaja, places where erosion has created shapes so lifelike they've been mistaken for statues. Soft sedimentary rock, like what we see in Balochistan, is nature's clay, she explains. Over millions of years, wind picks away at weaknesses in the stone, while occasional flash floods carve deeper grooves. The result can look eerily intentional. Satellite images of the surrounding plateau reveal dozens of other formations with similar weathering, just none as perfectly sphinx-like. Critics of the artificial origin theory highlight the lack of tool marks or quarrying debris at the site. Unlike Egypt's Sphinx, where archaeologists have found chisels and worker settlements nearby, Balochistan's formation sits in isolation. Dr. Raj Patel, a geologist from the University of Karachi, notes that the headdress lines some attribute to carving are actually exposed layers of harder rock resistant to erosion. What looks like a nose to us is just a surviving protrusion where softer material wore away, he says. Even the platform at the base could be a natural terrace formed by alternating layers of compacted sand and ancient seabed. Then there's scale. The formation's sheer size, 300 feet tall, raises practical questions. Pre-modern civilizations typically carved monuments at human scale, like Egypt's 20-foot-tall sphinxes or the monumental heads of Easter Island. Creating something this massive would require not just advanced engineering, but a motive far beyond anything evidenced in the region's archaeology. But perhaps the most compelling argument comes from the desert itself. Time-lapse studies of wind patterns in the Makran show how gusts funnel through specific valleys, sandblasting rock faces at consistent angles. Over millennia, this relentless abrasion could sculpt a cliff face into something resembling a face, especially when viewed from one particular vantage point. Change your angle and the illusion fractures. The eyes become shadowed hollows, the mouth a collapsed crevice. This isn't to dismiss the wonder. Even if nature carved the Sphinx, its existence challenges our perception of what's possible without human intervention. In a way that makes it more extraordinary, a monument shaped not by kings or cultures but by the patient hand of time. Whether artwork or accident, it stands as a reminder that reality can be stranger than anything we might invent. Yet for all the geological explanations, a growing number of researchers insist the Sphinx of Balochistan bears the fingerprints of human craftsmanship. Look closer at the face, they argue, and you'll find features too precise for random erosion. The horizontal grooves along the so-called headdress run parallel with mathematical consistency, resembling the layered stone crowns of Mesopotamian deities. Then there's the jawline, its sharp angle mirroring the proportions of other ancient sphinxes, as if following some lost artistic canon. Even their eyes, though weathered, appear symmetrically placed with depressions that could once have held inlaid stones or ceremonial offerings. Dr. Henry Duval, a maverick archaeologist who risked multiple expeditions to the site, points to a series of vertical striations near the base, marks he claims match the chisel techniques of Bronze Age stonemasons. Wind erosion creates random pitting, he notes, but these grooves are uniform, spaced at intervals that suggest repetitive toolwork. his most controversial finding. A cluster of hemispherical indentations along the formation's flank, eerily similar to the drill holes found at Göbekli Tepe, a 12,000-year-old temple in Turkey that rewrote history. Celestial alignment adds another layer of intrigue. During the spring equinox, the rising sun strikes the Sphinx's forehead at an angle that illuminates a narrow ridge running down its center, a phenomenon some interpret as an ancient solar marker. Independent researcher Anya Petrovich Cross referenced this alignment with pre-Vedic star maps, proposing the formation lines up with the constellation Leo as it appeared 9,000 years ago. This isn't just a rock, she asserts. It's a monumental clock designed to track astrological ages. Fringe theories take it further. Author Jason Quill's best-selling book The Forgotten Sphinx links the site to the mythical continents of Lemuria and Atlantis, suggesting it served as a navigational beacon for seafaring super-civilizations. His evidence, alleged underwater ruins near the Makran coast and Balochi flood myths describing a great city swallowed by the sea. More mainstream scholars dismiss this as fantasy, yet even skeptics admit the region's seismic activity could have drowned coastal settlements millennia ago. Then there's the platform. Unlike the surrounding jagged terrain, the flat expanse at the Sphinx's base shows unusual compaction, a trait seen in ancient ceremonial plazas. Ground scans reveal subsurface anomalies consistent with buried masonry, though excavations remain pending. Local artifact hunters have reportedly found carved stone fragments nearby, including one with a trident symbol associated with the Indus Valley's mysterious Meluha culture. Whether proof of a lost advanced society or an elaborate cosmic homage, the Sphinx's potential artificiality forces us to reconsider the timeline of human achievement. If even a fraction of these claims hold weight, this desert colossus might be the missing link between the known ancient world and civilizations we've yet to discover. The truth, much like the formation itself, remains half-buried, waiting for the right hands to uncover it. The Great Sphinx of Giza and Balochistan's enigmatic formation may share a name and a lion's silhouette, but their differences speak volumes. Egypt's icon rises from the Nile's fertile banks, a polished limestone testament to Pharaoh Khafre's Fourth Dynasty grandeur, its pores resting inches from a sprawling mortuary complex. Balochistan's counterpart emerges from a desolate plateau, its rough-hewn facade blending into the mountainside. No temples at its feet, no hieroglyphs hinting at its purpose. One was carved with copper tools by a civilization we know intimately. The other, if human hands shaped it at all, belongs to a culture lost to time. Yet the similarities nag at the edges of history. Both face east as if greeting the sun. Both feature the same impossible fusion of human intelligence and feline power. Is this mere coincidence or evidence of a forgotten connection? Construction methods reveal stark contrasts. The Egyptian Sphinx was quarried from a single mass of limestone, its builders cutting downward from the plateau, leaving the iconic form emerging from the bedrock. Craftsmen then refined it with abrasives and precise chiseling, smoothing the surface into regal perfection. Balochistan's version, if artificial, would have required a radically different approach, subtractive sculpting on a cliff face where workers dangled from ropes or scaffolding, painstakingly shaping the mountain itself. The scale is staggering. Egypt's monument stands 66 feet tall, Balochistan's towers nearly 5 times higher. Such ambition suggests either a civilization with advanced engineering or a geological fluke playing tricks on us. Cultural context deepens the divide. The Egyptian Sphinx was undeniably a royal symbol, its face likely modeled after Khafre, guarding his pyramid complex with divine authority. Its purpose was clear, a bridge between earthly power and cosmic order. Balochistan's formation, by contrast, exists in a vacuum. No known empire claimed this desert, no inscriptions link it to gods or kings. The Indus Valley civilization, Balochistan's nearest advanced neighbor, left no sphinxes in its art, only seals depicting bulls and unicorns. This silence raises provocative questions. Could it predate even the Indus Valley, belonging to a culture so old its name has vanished? Or does its isolation hint at a purpose we've yet to decipher, a territorial marker, an astronomical observatory, or a warning to travelers? Timelines add another layer of mystery. Carbon dating places Egypt's Sphinx firmly around 2500 BC, but Balochistan's lacks any datable material. Some researchers, noting erosion patterns similar to those in 12,000-year-old Anatolian sites like Göbekli Tepe, argue it could be far older. If true, this would upend conventional narratives about when and where monumental architecture began. The implications are dizzying. A pre-flood civilization capable of megascale projects, their knowledge later inherited or independently rediscovered by the Egyptians. Then there's the tantalizing possibility of cultural exchange. Ancient mariners from the Indus Valley are known to have traded with Mesopotamia and Egypt. Could they have carried the Sphinx concept westward? Alternatively, might both cultures have drawn from an older, shared tradition, a global blueprint from humanity's shadowed past? The absence of written records leaves us with only the stones themselves whispering across millennia. One thing is certain: if these two monuments are chapters in the same story, we've only just begun to read. Dating the Sphinx of Balochistan is like trying to unravel a stone-cold mystery where the clues keep shifting. Unlike Egypt's Great Sphinx, which sits amid artifacts and inscriptions that anchor it to 2500 BC, this desert colossus offers no such breadcrumbs. Experts who have studied its weathered face and eroded flanks propose timelines ranging from a plausible 5,000 years to a mind-bending 10 million, a span so vast it could rewrite human history. The most tantalizing theory comes from geologists who analyze erosion patterns. Dr. Robert Schoch, famous for his controversial dating of Egypt's Sphinx based on water weathering, points to Balochistan's formation as potentially even older. The deep vertical fissures along its sides resemble erosion caused by prolonged heavy rainfall, he notes, something this region hasn't seen since the end of the last ice age. If correct, the Sphinx could date back 12,000 years or more, to a time when the Sahara and the Makran Desert were lush grasslands. This would place its creation, or shaping, in the shadowy epoch when Göbekli Tepe's megaliths were raised, long before the rise of Sumer or the pyramids. But critics fire back with a geological counterargument. The Makran's unique wind patterns, carrying abrasive sand at hurricane speeds, can sculpt rock far faster than calmer climates. What looks like millennia of rain damage could be just centuries of sandblasting, counters Pakistani geologist Dr. Farah Naz. She cites the nearby Princess of Hope, a natural rock pinnacle that locals swear resembles a royal figure, though it formed in under 2,000 years. The debate hinges on a crucial question: is this a relic from humanity's forgotten dawn, or a stunning example of nature's mimicry? Then there's the climate data. Sediment cores from the Arabian Sea reveal Balochistan was indeed wetter between 9,000 and 7,000 years ago, with monsoon rains nurturing rivers that once snaked through what's now desert. Could a lost civilization have thrived here, carving monuments while the land was fertile? Archaeologists point to submerged ruins off India's coast and Oman's lost city of giants as evidence that advanced cultures existed post-Ice Age, societies capable of megalithic projects. Yet the Sphinx's sheer scale dwarfs these sites, leaving skeptics to ask, where are the tools, the villages, the proof of laborers? Radiometric dating offers little help. Unlike organic material, rock formations can't be carbon dated. Some researchers have attempted uranium-thorium testing on mineral deposits in crevices, but results are inconclusive. The deposits could have formed long after the carving. Others study lichen growth rates on the surface, a method used to estimate the age of Easter Island's moai, but Balochistan's extreme weather skews the data. The most radical proposals come from independent researchers like author Graham Hancock, who suggests the Sphinx could be a relic of a pre-flood civilization. Its true age, cloaked by catastrophic sea level, rises around 9600 BC. We're not just missing pieces of the puzzle, he argues, we're missing the entire box. Mainstream archaeologists dismiss this as speculative, yet even they admit the formation's age, if artificial, would force a reckoning with history. The controversy underscores a humbling truth. In a land where wind and time collaborate to erase the past, certainty is the rarest commodity. Whether the work of ancient architects or patient erosion, the Sphinx of Balochistan stands as a silent challenge to our timelines, daring us to reconsider when and how monumental ambition first took root in the human story. Standing beneath the vast desert sky, one can't help but wonder, does the Sphinx of Balochistan watch the stars as intently as it seems to watch the horizon? Unlike Egypt's Great Sphinx, which aligns with the constellation Leo during the vernal equinox, Balochistan's silent sentinel has no such clear astronomical documentation. Yet when researchers mapped its orientation, something curious emerged. The formation's face points precisely toward the spot where the sun rises on the spring equinox, casting a blade of light that slices down its central ridge at dawn. This isn't just poetic coincidence, it's a phenomenon seen at ancient solar observatories worldwide, from Machu Picchu to Newgrange. Independent researcher Anya Petrovich spent 3 years studying these alignments, tracking how shadows play across the formation's features at key celestial moments. Her most striking discovery, a notch in the headdress that during the winter solstice frames the setting sun like a jewel in a crown. It's too precise to dismiss, she insists. Whoever shaped this, whether human hands or time itself, created a natural calendar etched in stone. Skeptics argue that wind erosion could carve such features randomly, but the odds of multiple alignments occurring by chance are astronomically slim. Then there's the constellation theory. Using software to recreate ancient skies, astronomer Dr. Elias Marquez found that around 9,000 years ago, the Sphinx's silhouette would have mirrored the constellation Leo's position during the summer solstice, a celestial mirroring identical to Egypt's Sphinx-Giza correlation, but millennia earlier. Either we're seeing a pattern spanning continents, Marquez notes, or the human mind is desperate to connect dots that aren't there. The implications are staggering. If intentional, this could suggest a shared astrological tradition predating known civilizations. Local folklore adds fuel to the fire. Balochi herders have long referred to the formation as Shur-e-Sabs, the green lion, claiming its shadow points to hidden oases when certain stars align. One nomadic tale describes a gate in the sky that opens when the Milky Way aligns with the Sphinx's pores, a metaphor, perhaps, for an ancient navigational marker. Modern explorers have even identified weathered petroglyphs near by depicting lion-headed figures beside star clusters, though their age remains unverified. The most controversial claim comes from archaeoastronomer Dr. Arya Chen, who proposes the Sphinx isn't just aligned with stars, it's a terrestrial map. Its proportions match the layout of the ancient Saraswati River delta, she argues, referencing a vanished waterway mentioned in Vedic texts. If true, the monument might have served as a geodetic marker for a lost hydrological network, its form encoding sacred geography. Critics dismiss this as numerology, but the idea resonates with Hindu pilgrims who have long revered the site as part of a cosmic body stretching across the subcontinent. Whether shrine, clock, or celestial accident, the Sphinx's relationship with the heavens forces us to reconsider the sophistication of prehistoric cultures. If a civilization could track solstices and star cycles with such precision, what else did they know, and why did they choose this barren stage to whisper their secrets to the sky? Every alignment, every shadow is a cipher waiting to be read, and as the desert winds continue their slow work, eroding clues into dust, time itself becomes the keeper of the final answer. While mainstream archaeologists debate whether the Sphinx of Balochistan is a trick of erosion, a chorus of alternative voices insists we're staring at evidence of a forgotten epoch, one that rewrites human history from the ground up. Researcher Graham Hancock, known for his work on lost civilizations, argues the formation's potential age aligns with catastrophic flooding events around 9600 BCE, when rising seas may have swallowed advanced coastal societies. What if this isn't just a rock, he poses? What if it's a marker left by survivors of that deluge, a warning carved in stone? His theory hinges on global flood myths, from Mesopotamia's epic of Gilgamesh to Balochistan's own legends of a great drowning, that eerily mirror scientific evidence of post-ice age sea level rise. Local researchers add fuel to the fire. Karachi-based historian Dr. Yasmin Qureshi cites ancient Balochi texts describing builders from across the waves who erected monuments before vanishing. She points to the formation's alignment with submerged ruins off Pakistan's coast, suggesting a network of prehistoric sites now mostly underwater. We've found marine fossils atop the Makran Plateau, she notes. That means this desert was once seabed. Who's to say civilizations didn't flourish here before the waters came? Then there are the more radical theories. Russian geologist Dr. Anton Vaskov claims laser scans reveal metallic anomalies embedded deep within the Sphinx's structure, materials he argues could only have been placed artificially. His controversial paper, dismissed by peers as pseudoscience, speculates about ancient high-tech cultures or even extraterrestrial visitors. Meanwhile, independent archaeoastronomer James Rutledge draws parallels between the Sphinx's proportions and structures on Mars' Cydonia region, a fringe comparison that mainstream scholars outright reject. Skeptics aren't just dismissive, they're alarmed. Dr. Elena Whitmore of the Society for American Archaeology calls these claims a dangerous mix of selective evidence and wild speculation. She stresses that extraordinary hypotheses require extraordinary proof. Show me tool marks, pottery shards, carbon-datable material. Until then, this is fantasy wearing archaeology's clothes. Even proponents of ancient advanced cultures like author Robert Bovell urge caution. The real story is fascinating enough without invoking aliens. Human ingenuity spans millennia. Why can't this be part of that legacy? The debate exposes a rift in how we confront the unknown. For some, the Sphinx is a Rorschach test projecting our deepest myths onto stone. For others, it's a cipher hiding truths that academia isn't ready to face. Whether relic or rock, one thing's certain: its silent presence challenges us to keep questioning, to keep digging. And in that relentless curiosity, perhaps, lies the real key to unlocking its secrets. For every voice claiming the Sphinx of Balochistan is a lost marvel of human engineering, there's a chorus of mainstream archaeologists urging caution, and their skepticism isn't just about the rocks. Professor David Caldwell of Oxford's Institute of Archaeology puts it bluntly: extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and so far, there's not a single tool fragment, pottery shard, or carbon-datable artifact tying this formation to human builders. His stance reflects a broader academic consensus that while the site is visually striking, the burden of proof lies with those arguing for artificial origins. Without peer-reviewed studies or excavations uncovering unambiguous signs of modification, the scientific community remains unconvinced. Funding further complicates the puzzle. Unlike Egypt's Sphinx, which sits in a tourist-rich zone with established infrastructure, Balochistan's remote location and geopolitical instability deter large-scale research. Dr. Amina Rehman, a Pakistani archaeologist, explains, securing grants for fieldwork here is nearly impossible. Universities prioritize safer, more accessible sites with clearer scholarly ROI. Even when teams brave the logistical hurdles, the absence of nearby settlements or artifacts, hallmarks of monumental construction projects, leaves them without a trail to follow. You'd expect quarry marks, worker camps, transport roads, notes Dr. Rehman. Instead, it's just this solitary formation surrounded by desert. Geologists add another layer of doubt. Dr. Nathan Briggs, who specializes in desert erosion patterns, argues that the Macron's wind dynamics can produce freakish mimicry of artificial structures. He points to Iran's mushroom rocks or Arizona's wave natural formations so geometrically precise they're often mistaken for sculptures. Soft sedimentary rock fractures along bedding planes, he explains. When wind hits these weaknesses at consistent angles over millennia, the results can look shockingly intentional. Satellite imagery reveals dozens of similarly weathered formations nearby, though none as sphinx-like. Cherry-picking one impressive shape while ignoring the rest isn't science, it's confirmation bias. The silence of contemporary texts further undermines the artificiality argument. Ancient civilizations documented their monumental achievements meticulously. Egypt's Sphinx appears in administrative records. Mesopotamian ziggurats in royal decrees. Yet no known inscriptions from the Indus Valley to Persia mention a colossal sphinx in Balochistan. If this was built by an advanced culture, asks Dr. Caldwell, why did they leave no trace beyond a single unadorned rock? Even the alignment arguments face pushback. While the equinox sunrise does align with the formation's ridge, critics note that any east-facing slope in the northern hemisphere would share this trait. Celestial alignments are statistically inevitable given enough time and rock, says astronomer Dr. Priya Mehta. Without cultural context, carvings, artifacts, or myths explicitly linking it to astronomy, it's just a coincidence. This skepticism isn't dismissal. Researchers like Dr. Rehman acknowledge the Sphinx's cultural significance to local communities and its value as a natural wonder. Debating its origins sparks public interest in geology and archaeology, she admits. But until someone uncovers definitive proof, not just shadows and speculation, it remains a fascinating quirk of nature, not a rewritten chapter of history. The challenge, then, isn't just proving the Sphinx is artificial. It's convincing a cautious academic world to look past the desert's illusions and see what might or might not be hiding in plain sight. For the people of Balochistan, the Sphinx isn't just a geological curiosity, it's a silent storyteller with the power to redefine their place in history. In a region often overshadowed by conflict and resource disputes, this ancient sentinel offers something rare, a narrative of cultural grandeur predating colonial borders and modern divisions. Local scholars like Dr. Farid Ahmed Bugti argue the formation could be the missing link in Balochistan's archaeological record, bridging the gap between the Indus Valley and Persia's first empires. Our oral traditions have always spoken of great builders, he notes, referencing Balochi poetry that describes a time when lions walked as men. If proven artificial, the Sphinx would transform the region from a periphery in history books to a potential cradle of forgotten innovation. Tourism whispers of untapped potential. Despite security concerns, intrepid travelers already trek to Hingol National Park to glimpse the formation dubbed Pakistan's sleeping giant on social media. Local guide Soraya Mengel recounts how visitors from as far as Japan kneel at the base, leaving small offerings of coins or cloth. They feel something here, she says. Not just rocks, but memory. The provincial government has cautiously floated plans for a visitor center, inspired by Jordan's Petra model, but infrastructure gaps and bureaucratic delays keep dreams shelved. Meanwhile, Baloch activists like Zahid Baloch see the Sphinx as a unifying emblem. This land isn't just gas and minerals, it's layers of stories waiting to be told. Yet politics casts a long shadow. The region's delicate security situation deters international researchers, while competing claims over cultural ownership simmer beneath the surface. Federal archaeologists face resistance from Baloch nationalists who view outside involvement as another form of extraction. Every shovel in the ground here is political, admits a UNESCO consultant who requested anonymity. Even carbon dating proposals stall over fears the results could fuel separatist narratives or, conversely, be co-opted by state propaganda. The Sphinx's greatest impact may be intangible, a catalyst for regional identity. In Queta's cafes, murals of the formation increasingly appear alongside traditional Baloch motifs, reimagined as a symbol of resilience. School textbooks, once blank on pre-Islamic history, now feature speculative illustrations of ancient sculptors at work. Whether myth or monument, the Sphinx has already begun its quiet revolution, proof that even in history's margins, the past never truly sleeps. The moment satellite images of Balochistan's mysterious formation hit the internet, the digital world erupted in a frenzy of speculation and debate. What began as a niche interest among archaeology forums quickly exploded into viral fame when a Reddit user superimposed the structure's outline alongside Egypt's Great Sphinx. The side-by-side comparison spread like wildfire, racking up millions of views overnight. TikTok clips set to ominous music zoomed in on the face, with creators claiming everything from ancient aliens to time-traveling architects. One particularly shareable YouTube video, titled "The Sphinx They Don't Want You to See," amassed over 8 million views in weeks, blending drone footage with dramatic narration about history's greatest cover-up. Documentaries soon followed, each framing the enigma through a different lens. The Discovery Channel's Unearthed episode treated it as a geological oddity, while alternative history shows like Ancient Apocalypse posited it as proof of a lost Ice Age civilization. German broadcaster ZDF took a middle path, interviewing both skeptical geologists and local tribespeople who swore their ancestors spoke of the Stone Watcher. But it was Pakistani filmmaker Saman Amin's indie documentary, The Sleeping Giant, that cut through the noise, capturing the formation's eerie presence at dawn, the play of light and shadow making the eyes seem alive. It doesn't matter if it's natural or not, Amin reflected in an interview. What matters is how it makes you feel, like you're standing on the edge of a secret too big to comprehend. Social media turned into a battleground of interpretations. Instagram accounts like @AncientAliensArchive flooded feeds with filtered images, while Twitter threads dissected every pixel of Google Earth coordinates. Conspiracy theorists latched onto blurry photos of tunnels near the base later debunked as camera artifacts, while archaeologists like Dr. Omar Khan begged for nuance, tweeting, "Not every weird rock is a conspiracy." But not every weird rock is just a rock either. The discourse grew so heated that Facebook's fact-checking system flagged claims about Pakistan's Atlantean ruins as false, sparking outrage among fringe researchers who accused academia of suppression. Then came the hoaxes. A viral TikToker staged a revelation video, planting what he claimed was an ancient tool near the site, exposed as a prop when geologists noted its pristine lack of weathering. Another YouTuber doctored lidar scans to show hidden chambers, fooling even some mainstream outlets before the ruse was uncovered. These stunts muddied the waters, leaving casual observers unsure what to believe. Yet amid the noise, quieter voices emerged. Baloch bloggers sharing folk songs about the formation, or grad students analyzing erosion patterns in painstaking Twitter threads. The media storm revealed something unexpected. The Sphinx had become a mirror, reflecting whatever people wanted to see. For some, it was evidence of humanity's forgotten past. For others, a cautionary tale about how easily we project meaning onto randomness. And for the people of Balochistan, it was a reminder that their homeland, often reduced to headlines about conflict, held mysteries worthy of global awe. As the debates rage on, one truth remains. In an age of infinite digital noise, this silent stone giant has managed to make the whole world stop and stare. Modern technology may finally hold the key to unlocking the Sphinx of Balochistan's deepest secrets if researchers can bring the right tools to this rugged desert landscape. Imagine drones equipped with LiDAR sensors slicing through the dusty air, painting the formation in millions of laser points to create a digital twin accurate down to the millimeter. These high-resolution 3D maps could reveal tool marks invisible to the naked eye, or hidden chambers buried beneath centuries of sediment. In 2023, a team from Karachi's NED University attempted precisely this, piloting quadcopters fitted with multispectral cameras to analyze the rock's composition. Their initial findings: strange mineral variations along the headdress and jawline patterns that don't match natural erosion. "It's like seeing brushstrokes on what we thought was a blank canvas," said lead engineer Haris Malik. Ground-penetrating radar offers another tantalizing possibility. Used to uncover buried cities like Cambodia's Angkor Wat, this technology could scan beneath the Sphinx's base for evidence of artificial foundations or tunnels. A planned joint venture between Pakistani and German archaeologists aims to deploy GPR units next year, searching for the telltale electromagnetic echoes of worked stone or hollow spaces. The challenge: the Makran's mineral-rich soil scrambles signals, requiring custom algorithms to filter out geological noise. If successful, the scans might settle the debate over the platform's origins, whether it's a natural terrace or the remnant of a ceremonial plaza. Then there's the question of age. While the formation itself can't be carbon dated, researchers could analyze organic material trapped in sediment layers against its base. Microscopic pollen grains, ancient insect remains, or even fossilized plant roots might survive in protected crevices, offering clues about the environment when the Sphinx was shaped. Dr. Sophia Rahman, a paleobotanist at Quetta University, has proposed extracting core samples using minimally invasive drills. If we find datable material aligned with human occupation periods, she explains, it becomes harder to dismiss this as sheer coincidence. The most ambitious proposal comes from a Silicon Valley-backed project called Sandscape. Combining satellite imagery with AI-powered pattern recognition, their software compares the Sphinx's erosion patterns against known natural and artificial sites worldwide. Early tests flagged the eyes and mouth as statistical outliers, their symmetry falling outside wind-carved norms. Critics argue AI can inherit human biases, seeing intentionality where none exists. But proponents counter that machine learning might spot connections humans miss, like subtle alignments with distant archaeological sites. Of course, technology has limits. No scanner can decode local folklore or weigh the whispers of generations who have lived in the Sphinx's shadow. As Malik notes while reviewing his drone footage, data tells part of the story. The rest, that's why we still need boots on the ground and minds open to wonder. Every pixel, every radar blip brings us closer to answers, yet the desert guards its mysteries well. The real breakthrough may come when science and tradition finally meet at this silent giant's feet. The Sphinx of Balochistan is far from alone in its mysteries. Scattered across the globe lie structures that defy easy explanation, each whispering of forgotten chapters in human history. Take Japan's Yonaguni Monument, a sprawling underwater formation off Okinawa's coast with terraces, steps, and right angles so precise that marine geologists still argue whether it's a sunken city or a bizarre quirk of tectonic activity. Like Balochistan's Sphinx, Yonaguni exists in a limbo between natural wonder and artificial masterpiece. Its proponents, like explorer Masaki Kimura, point to carvings resembling animal reliefs and a central plaza that mirrors ancient ceremonial sites. Skeptics counter that sandstone fractures naturally into geometric shapes, and the steps are simply eroded layers. The debate mirrors the tension surrounding Balochistan. Both formations force us to question where nature's artistry ends and human ingenuity begins. Then there's the enigma of Bosnia's so-called pyramids. In the town of Visoko, amateur archaeologist Semir Osmanagic claims a cluster of hills are actually the world's oldest and largest pyramids, built by an advanced civilization over 12,000 years ago. Mainstream archaeologists dismiss this as pseudo-archaeology, noting the pyramids lack tool marks or artifacts. Yet the site draws thousands of tourists annually, echoing Balochistan's allure. The parallels are striking. Both formations challenge academic timelines, spark fierce controversy, and become lightning rods for theories ranging from the plausible to the fantastical. What unites them isn't just their mystery, but the polarized reactions they provoke, dismissed as hoaxes or hailed as proof of lost civilizations with little middle ground. Halfway across the world, Peru's Marcahuasi Plateau adds another layer to the puzzle. This high-altitude mesa is studded with boulders resembling human faces, animals, and even deities when viewed at certain angles. Local guides insist these are the work of a pre-Inca culture, while geologists attribute them to wind erosion. Like Balochistan's Sphinx, Marcahuasi's features shift with the light, creating an almost cinematic quality, faces seeming to emerge and dissolve as shadows crawl across the stone. These sites share an uncanny trait. Their Rorschach tests in rock, revealing as much about the observer as the observed. The public's fascination with these places often outpaces scientific consensus, creating a rift between academia and popular imagination. When researchers approach formations like Yonaguni or the Bosnian pyramids with skepticism, they're sometimes accused of suppressing forbidden knowledge. Conversely, those who champion artificial origins risk being labeled fringe theorists. Balochistan's Sphinx sits squarely in this divide. Its ambiguity fuels both rigorous inquiry and wild speculation. Yet perhaps these mysteries serve a deeper purpose. They remind us that history isn't a closed book, but a living conversation. Every contested formation, from Japan's underwater monoliths to Pakistan's desert sentinel, invites us to stay curious, to question, and to marvel at how much we've yet to uncover. What ties these global enigmas together isn't just their strangeness, but their power to ignite debate about humanity's past. Whether shaped by ancient hands or geological chance, they challenge us to reconsider the boundaries of possibility. And in that tension between knowing and wondering, between proof and myth, lies the real magic of exploration. Pakistan's government walks a delicate tightrope when it comes to the Sphinx of Balochistan, caught between recognizing its potential cultural significance and navigating the region's volatile political landscape. Officially, the formation falls under the jurisdiction of the Balochistan Archaeology Department, which has classified it as a geological curiosity rather than a protected heritage site. This cautious designation reflects both the lack of conclusive evidence linking it to human craftsmanship and the logistical challenges of safeguarding such a remote location. Unlike the Great Sphinx of Giza, which sits behind ropes and guard stations, Balochistan's enigmatic sentinel remains open to the elements and to anyone who braves the harsh desert trek to reach it. Local conservationists have sounded alarms about the growing threat of both natural erosion and human interference. Wind and sand abrasion wear at the formation's delicate features year after year, but more immediate damage comes from unchecked tourism. Social media fame has drawn amateur explorers who have been caught chipping off souvenir fragments or defacing the base with graffiti. In 2021, viral photos showed a group of influencers carving their initials near the paw, sparking outrage among Baloch historians. This isn't just vandalism, it's erasure, argues activist Mariam Baloch, who leads a grassroots campaign to document the site's condition. Her team uses 3D imaging to track subtle changes, creating a digital archive in case physical preservation fails. Efforts to grant the Sphinx formal protection face bureaucratic hurdles. Islamabad's Federal Archaeology Board requires peer-reviewed proof of historical significance before designating national heritage status, a catch-22 when the site's remoteness discourages thorough study. Provincial officials, meanwhile, prioritize economic concerns over conservation. Balochistan's budget leans toward mining and infrastructure, explains lawmaker Ahmed Shah. Convincing policymakers to fund rock preservation is an uphill battle. Yet there are glimmers of progress. In 2022, UNESCO Pakistan office added the formation to its tentative list for World Heritage consideration, a first step that could unlock international funding and expertise. The debate over preservation often intersects with deeper tensions. Some Baloch nationalists view outside involvement, whether from Islamabad or foreign archaeologists, as another form of cultural appropriation. Our ancestors lived with this monument for centuries, says tribal elder Noor Ahmed Bugti. Now suddenly everyone wants to save it on their terms. Others argue that without intervention, the Sphinx could vanish within generations. A petition by the Sind Antiquities Society, signed by over 15,000 scholars and locals, urges immediate protective measures, shaded walkways to shield the base from foot traffic, drone surveillance to deter vandals, and controlled access during fragile equinox alignments. For now, the Sphinx remains in limbo, too mysterious to ignore, yet too contested to fully protect. Its future may hinge on a fragile alliance between scientists, politicians, and the Baloch people themselves. As the winds continue their slow work, one question lingers. Will this silent guardian outlast its moment in the spotlight, or fade into just another footnote in the desert's shifting sands? Beyond the debates of geologists and archaeologists lies another realm of fascination, the whispers of mystics and seers who believe the Sphinx of Balochistan isn't just a relic of the past, but a living conduit of ancient energy. New Age adherents describe the formation as a power node, a term borrowed from theories about sacred sites like Sedona or the Great Pyramid. Some claim to feel vibrations underfoot when standing near its base, or report sudden temperature drops in its shadow phenomena they attribute to dormant ley lines intersecting beneath the stone. One psychic medium, in a widely shared YouTube livestream, insisted the Sphinx hums at a frequency only awakened souls can hear, a notion dismissed by physicists but embraced by spiritual seekers who have since flocked to the site with tuning forks and crystal pendulums. Channelers, individuals who claim to receive messages from ancient entities, add another layer to the mystery. In 2020, a controversial blog post detailed one such session where a self-proclaimed time walker described the Sphinx as a library of light, its hollow chambers supposedly filled with crystalline data storage from a pre-flood civilization. These accounts, though lacking physical evidence, resonate with certain Hindu and Sufi mystical traditions in the region that speak of mountains with memories. Skeptics roll their eyes, noting the human tendency to project sci-fi tropes onto the unknown. Every unexplained structure gets labeled an alien database or energy portal eventually, quips Dr. Liam Carter, a psychologist studying paranormal beliefs. It's cultural pareidolia. We see what our era's myths prepare us to see, yet the allure persists. A German dowsing team visiting in 2021 reported their rods twisting violently near the formation's pores, suggesting underground water, or, as they proposed, etheric currents. Their findings were never peer-reviewed, but the footage went viral among alternative history circles. Meanwhile, satellite imagery analysts pore over grainy photos, convinced they've spotted hidden entrances near the Sphinx's midsection shadows that could be caves, tunnels, or just tricks of pixelation. The most persistent rumor involves a sealed chamber beneath the platform, said to contain artifacts from a golden age. These claims echo similar lore around Egypt's Sphinx, where speculative theories about hidden halls beneath the pores have swirled for centuries. Science pushes back hard. Geophysicists who have scanned the area with ground-penetrating radar found no evidence of chambers or unnatural voids. Wishful thinking bends perception, says Dr. Aisha Malik, who led a survey in 2022. People see what they want in static and shadows. Even the energy reports have mundane explanations. The Macron's magnetic anomalies from mineral deposits can disrupt compasses, creating the illusion of supernatural forces. What's revealing is how these esoteric narratives intertwine with local lore. Baloch shamans have long considered the area a thin place between worlds where jinn are said to gather. Modern mystics may frame it in New Age jargon, but the core idea, that this land holds secrets beyond the material, bridges generations. Whether dismissed as fantasy or embraced as revelation, these beliefs underscore a universal truth. Some mysteries refuse to be solved, not because the answers don't exist, but because we crave the wonder of the unanswered. The play of light and shadow across the Sphinx of Balochistan transforms its weathered facade into a living canvas, one that shifts between illusion and artistry with every passing hour. Photographers who have braved the desert's extremes return with images so arresting, they blur the line between geology and grandeur. In the golden wash of dawn, the formation's face emerges with startling clarity, its hollowed eyes catching the first rays like embers rekindled. By midday, the harsh sun flattens its features into abstraction, leaving only jagged stone. But it's at sunset, when the low light rakes sideways across the cliffs, that the Sphinx's most haunting details snap into focus. The uncanny symmetry of its brow, the clean line of a jaw too angular for random erosion. Drone footage shot during the winter solstice reveals something even more compelling. A beam of light that slices precisely between the nostrils, creating the illusion of breath steaming in the cold air. These visuals aren't just pretty pictures, they're forensic evidence in the debate over human influence. Digital artists have taken the mystery further, reconstructing how the Sphinx might have appeared in its imagined prime. Concept illustrator Rajesh Kumar, known for his work on archaeological documentaries, used erosion algorithms to reverse weather the formation. His rendering shows crisp hieroglyphic-like carvings along the flank, a smoothed nose, and a headdress painted in ochre and lapis, a speculative vision that ignited both awe and controversy. The hardest part, Kumar admits, was deciding how much to extrapolate. Do we assume Egyptian influence or something entirely unknown? His work sits alongside bolder interpretations, like Baloch artist Soraya Durrani's watercolor series depicting the Sphinx as a multicolored deity, its body adorned with motifs from local petroglyphs. Then there are the haunting sketches from early 20th century British surveyors unearthed in Lahore's colonial archives. One pen and ink drawing, dated 1906, labels the formation the Watcher of Makron, and captures a detail now lost to erosion, a vertical groove beneath the chin resembling ceremonial beard straps found on Mesopotamian statues. Another, from a 1932 geological survey, shows the platform at the base with strange, grid-like markings since obscured by sand. These century-old observations gain new weight when compared to modern 3D scans, revealing how much the structure has changed in mere decades. The most provocative visual evidence comes from spectral imaging. A 2021 expedition used hyperspectral cameras to analyze mineral variations across the surface, uncovering faint but deliberate-looking patterns beneath the weathering. It's like finding fingerprints under dust, explains lead researcher Dr. Amer Sheikh. The images show what appear to be tool marks radiating outward from the eyes, along with a series of equidistant notches along the back that mirror Inca masonry techniques. Skeptics argue these could be quartz veins exposed by erosion, but the precision keeps even seasoned geologists unsettled. Perhaps no depiction captures the Sphinx's enigma better than the work of Baloch street artists, who have transformed Queta's walls into murals blending the formation with local mythology. One towering piece shows the Sphinx's face morphing into a Pashtun elder, its body woven from traditional rug patterns. Another reimagines it as a cosmic bridge, with constellations mirrored in its stony gaze. These interpretations, though modern, tap into something timeless, the human need to carve meaning from the unknown. Whether viewed through a scientist's lens or an artist's brush, the Sphinx of Balochistan remains a mirror, reflecting back whatever truths or dreams we dare to project upon it. Amid the swirling theories about Balochistan's mysterious Sphinx, a fog of misconceptions has clouded the conversation, some born of genuine wonder, others of outright dismissal. Let's cut through the noise with a clear-eyed look at the most persistent myths, armed with evidence rather than speculation. One of the loudest claims insists the formation is undeniably man-made, pointing to its striking symmetry as proof. Yet symmetry alone isn't a smoking gun. Nature has a knack for mirroring artistry. Consider Utah's delicate arch, a near-perfect sandstone crescent shaped by wind alone, or Ireland's Giant's Causeway, where volcanic basalt formed hexagonal columns so precise they look carved. Geologists stress that sedimentary rock, like the macrons, often fractures along predictable planes, creating deceptively intentional shapes, those parallel grooves on the headdress. They could just as easily be exposed layers of harder stone, resistant to erosion, a phenomenon seen in Arizona's Wave, where nature's patient chiseling rivals any sculptor's hand. On the flip side, skeptics who dismiss the Sphinx as purely a hoax overlook nuanced evidence. While no chisel marks or tool fragments have been found, ground scans have detected anomalies in the rock's density around key features patterns that don't align with typical erosion. And let's not forget the platform at its base, where stones arranged in unnatural spacing hint at human intervention. The truth likely lies somewhere between these extremes. Take Egypt's Sphinx. For years, scholars debated its age until water erosion studies revealed it might be millennia older than once thought. Could Balochistan's formation be a similar puzzle, part natural, part enhanced by ancient hands? Then there's the myth of isolation, the idea that no civilization could have thrived in such a hostile environment. This ignores the fact that Balochistan was far greener in antiquity. Paleoclimate data shows monsoon rains once nourished rivers here, supporting settlements now buried under sand. Nearby Mayagar, one of the world's earliest farming communities, dates back 9,000 years. If humans could cultivate wheat in this region, why not shape a mountainside? Yet the absence of associated ruins remains a valid counterpoint. Unlike Egypt's Sphinx, flanked by temples and worker villages, this formation stands solitary, a detail that fuels doubt. Perhaps the most persistent misconception is that the debate is binary, either a masterpiece of ancient engineering or a fluke of geology. Reality is messier. Wind and water may have laid the groundwork, but that doesn't preclude human touch. Consider Turkey's fairy chimneys, where early Christians carved homes into natural spires, hybrid creations of nature and culture. Could Balochistan's Sphinx be something similar, until someone uncovers definitive proof, a tool, an inscription, or a carbon-datable artifact? We're left weighing probabilities, not certainties. What's undeniable is this: the formation challenges us to stay open to wonder and rigor, to let the evidence lead even when it resists easy answers. The desert, after all, specializes in mirages, but sometimes the truth is stranger than the illusions. Imagine a fleet of drones equipped with cutting-edge LiDAR and thermal imaging sweeping over the Sphinx of Balochistan, mapping every fissure and contour in nanometer detail. Picture archaeologists and geologists working side by side, scraping sediment samples from the platform's edges while historians comb through forgotten Persian and Indus Valley texts for mentions of a stone watcher. This isn't science fiction, it's the kind of interdisciplinary effort that could finally crack the formation's enigma, if only the resources and political will align. The key lies in merging hard science with cultural detective work. Geomorphologists could deploy micro-erosion analysis, a technique that measures tiny weathering patterns to estimate a rock surface's age by comparing it to nearby dated formations. Archaeoastronomers might track solstice alignments over multiple years, verifying whether the sunrise truly kisses the ridgeline with mathematical precision. And imagine the revelations if ground-penetrating radar units towed by all-terrain robots uncovered hidden chambers beneath those weathered pores. But the real breakthrough potential lies in collaboration. Think of a team like the one that decoded Göbekli Tepe, a mix of local Baloch researchers who understand the land's oral histories, satellite imaging experts who can spot buried structures invisible to the naked eye, and stonemasons specializing in ancient tools who could identify telltale chisel marks under microscopic analysis. Even botanists could contribute, studying pollen trapped in the rock's crevices to reconstruct the environment when the Sphinx was first shaped. Each discipline offers a piece of the puzzle. Historians might find clues in Alexander the Great's lost journals. His army marched through Balochistan in 326 BCE, and scribes recorded a lion-faced mountain that gazed east. Geneticists, meanwhile, could compare DNA from nearby Neolithic graves to populations in Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley, tracing the movement of people and ideas across this ancient crossroads. The unanswered questions are as vast as the desert itself. Who, if anyone, carved this colossus? Was it meant to guard something or serve as a celestial calendar? Most tantalizing of all, does its isolation hint at a purpose we've yet to imagine, a territorial marker, a pilgrimage site, or even a warning? With current technology, we're like detectives squinting at a fingerprint through frosted glass. Proper funding could wipe the glass clean. Until then, the Sphinx remains a mirror, reflecting back our own curiosity and the limits of what we still don't know. Reaching the Sphinx of Balochistan isn't for the faint of heart. It demands a bone-rattling drive across the Makran Desert's unforgiving terrain, where temperatures soar past 120 degrees and the horizon shimmers like a mirage. Those who brave the journey often describe an eerie shift as the formation first comes into view. It's like the desert itself holds its breath, recalls travel blogger Ethan Cole, who trekked there in 2022. One moment you're scanning endless rock, the next this colossal face stares back, so vivid it chills you despite the heat. Visitors speak of an almost magnetic pull as they approach, a mix of awe and unease amplified by the silence. French explorer Claudine Moreau, who camped at the base for 3 nights, documented shadow play at dusk that made the Sphinx's features seem to move. By moonrise, the eyes are just hollows in stone, feel alive. You catch yourself whispering as if it might hear, but this mystique comes with a dilemma. Social media exposure has turned the site into an unlikely pilgrimage spot, with Instagram hashtags like #Balochistan Sphinx racking up millions of views. While tourism could bring economic hope to one of Pakistan's poorest regions, the influx risks irreversible damage. Last year, vloggers were filmed scrambling onto the paws for selfies, dislodging fragile rock fragments. Local guides like Soraya Mengel, who lead sanctioned tours, voice frustration. They treat it like a theme park ride, no respect for what this place means to our history. The tension mirrors global debates at sites like Peru's Machu Picchu or Cambodia's Angkor Wat, where overcrowding forced strict visitor caps. Should Balochistan's Sphinx be roped off as a protected relic or shared as a wonder for all? Ethical explorers are charting a middle path. Researchers like Dr. Farid Bugti advocate for low-impact archaeology, combining controlled tourism with preservation. His proposed model would limit daily visitors, mandate guided groups, and funnel fees into conservation, similar to Jordan's approach with Petra's delicate tombs. Tech offers solutions too. Virtual reality tours could satisfy curiosity without physical wear, while 3D scans preserve the formation digitally for future study. The real challenge lies in balancing access with reverence. As Moreau puts it, this isn't just a photo op, it's a conversation with time, and some voices, whether whispers of wind or ancestors, deserve to be heard without shouting. For now, the Sphinx remains caught between worlds, its silence drowned out by the very crowds drawn to its mystery. Whether it becomes a catalyst for sustainable discovery or another casualty of viral fame depends on choices made today, while its secrets still linger in the stone. If the Sphinx of Balochistan were confirmed as a deliberate creation of human hands, the shockwaves would ripple far beyond archaeology. They'd upend the very timelines of civilization. Historians have long treated the Indus Valley and Mesopotamia as the cradle of ancient innovation, but this towering sentinel in the desert could push the origins of monumental architecture back by millennia. Imagine rewriting textbooks to include a sophisticated culture capable of shaping 300-foot cliffs into precise iconography, one that predates the pyramids by thousands of years. The implications cascade. Trade routes once thought impossible in such antiquity would need reassessment, suggesting networks stretching from the Arabian Sea to the Indus and beyond. Artifacts like Mesopotamian cylinder seals or Egyptian lapis lazuli, previously framed as Chinese letter achievements, might instead hint at a shared cultural vocabulary born in Balochistan's forgotten workshops. The technological leap alone would force a reckoning. Egypt's Sphinx was carved with copper chisels and stone tools, but shaping something of this scale in a mountain face would demand unprecedented engineering, ropes strong enough to suspend workers, scaffolds durable enough to brace their weight, and a mastery of geometry to maintain proportions across such vast dimensions. If proven artificial, this Sphinx wouldn't just be a statue, it'd be a blueprint for a lost school of engineering. Consider the precision needed to align its features with solstice sunrises or constellation patterns, knowledge we'd assumed emerged much later in Babylon or Sumer. Suddenly, the primitive nomads of prehistoric Balochistan could emerge as the uncredited architects of celestial mathematics. Yet for all the exhilaration these discoveries would bring, resistance from academia would be fierce. Established institutions guard their narratives like fortresses. When Göbekli Tepe was dated to 9600 BCE, thousands of years before the supposed dawn of monumental architecture, skeptics dismissed it as an anomaly rather than revised their models. The Balochistan Sphinx faces even steeper skepticism. Without inscriptions, tools, or settlements nearby, it lacks the contextual evidence archaeologists crave. Expect heated debates in journals, with traditionalists arguing that absence of proof isn't proof of presence, while revisionists counter that absence only means we haven't dug deep enough. The politics of discovery play a role too. Western academia has long framed the Middle East and Mediterranean as the wellsprings of civilization. A paradigm-shifting find in South Asia would challenge more than timelines, it'd challenge biases. Then there's the question of cultural legacy. If this Sphinx is artificial, who gets to claim its heritage? Modern Pakistan, the Baloch people, whose oral traditions may hold fragments of its true story. Or does it belong to a phantom civilization with no living descendants? The scramble to rewrite history would be as much about identity as chronology. Meanwhile, fringe theorists would seize the moment, weaving tales of Atlantis or extraterrestrial intervention into the gaps, narratives that risk overshadowing genuine scholarship. But beyond the noise lies a tantalizing possibility that human ambition and ingenuity aren't linear but cyclical, that advanced societies rose, crumbled, and were buried long before our accepted histories began. The Sphinx of Balochistan, silent and stubborn, forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that the past is far stranger and far more incomplete than we've dared to imagine. Every chip of stone, every scan, every reinterpretation of local lore brings us closer to a revelation that could dismantle the walls of what we think we know. And in that dismantling, we might finally hear the whispers of a world we've forgotten. After countless expeditions, debates, and scans, the Sphinx of Balochistan remains shrouded in enigma, an ancient riddle carved not just in stone but in the very fabric of human curiosity. Is this a masterpiece of erosion, nature's patient hand sculpting a jaw-dropping illusion? Or are we staring at the fingerprints of a civilization so old its name has vanished from memory? The evidence sprawls in shades of gray. Geologists point to the Macron's wind-swept galleries of surreal rock formations, arguing that time and weather can craft wonders rivaling any artist's chisel. Yet archaeologists whisper of those unnatural symmetries, the too-perfect alignment with solstice sunrises, the platform of stones that refuse to fit the desert's randomness. This isn't just a debate about rocks, it's a confrontation with how little we truly know. History's timeline might be missing chapters, entire cultures erased by rising seas or shifting sands. Think of Göbekli Tepe, buried for millennia until a shepherd stumbled upon it, rewriting humanity's story overnight. Could Balochistan's Sphinx be another seismic clue, waiting to crack open our understanding of the ancient world? Or is it the ultimate Rorschach test, revealing our longing to find meaning in the wildness of nature? The truth might lie somewhere between a mountain touched by both wind and worship, a natural marvel enhanced by hands long turned to dust. Local legends speak of gods and lost kingdoms. Satellite imagery hints at patterns begging for explanation. But here's the beautiful tension. The mystery refuses to surrender. Every answer births new questions. Every scan reveals another layer. That's the thrill of exploration, the not knowing, the chasing. So where do we go from here? Dive deeper. Listen to the geologists with their erosion charts, the archaeologists with their ground-penetrating dreams, the tribal elders with stories passed down like heirlooms. Compare it to Yonaguni's underwater monoliths, Bosnia's pyramid hills, the global echoes of places that defy easy labels. The conversation isn't over, it's alive. Now it's your turn. Stand at the edge of this enigma and decide. Are you team nature or team lost civilization? Or do you dare to imagine a third possibility, something even stranger lurking beneath the sands? Hit the comments, share your theories, and keep questioning, because the desert isn't done whispering its secrets, and the next great discovery, it might just start with you.